Welcome to Herf Zone Live. I'm here every Tuesday to bring you the best content weekly. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, search for Team Shirtless Mike, and follow on Facebook at Shirtless Mike. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Shirtless Mike 2020. See what goes on in my life, and hopefully I can see what goes on in yours. Herf Zone Live is expanding. Get your product in front of hundreds of viewers every single week. Let me advertise your cigar or product to my audience. DM me, let's exchange information and get you a part of the Team Shirtless Mike team. What is up, everybody? I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. We got people already chiming in down in the comments. What's up, Christopher Walmer? What's up, my boy house guest? All the way out in California. We got people starting to tune in, so make sure you leave the comments down there, and say what's up and all that good stuff. So today was a great day, nice and long, but that's just how things go sometimes. I was really excited to get back and have tonight's show because tonight's guest is a personal friend of mine, and we've had a lot of fun and great friends with her husband as well, and I consider them family. And speaking of, there goes Mr. Kevin Shahan, aka Cigar Prop, the man, the myth, the legend. So without further ado, from the Hustler Universe Podcast Network Green Room, where you'll find the Cigar Hustlers podcast and the Chet and Palmer Shit Show, welcome to Herf Zone Live, Jessica from Cigar Prop. What's up, sister?
Oh, what's up? How's it going?
Nothing much, man. It's finally glad to have you on the show, first of all. So
thank you for having me on. I know we tried a couple times before, so it's good that it was able to happen.
Yeah, I was told that Lee Mack had to have you on first, so I had to wait my turn.
Yeah, I don't do these often, especially by myself. So
Yeah, and I know you said you were nervous and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I get nervous when the attention is on me. Like I could be on camera with like Kevin, let him do his thing, but like me, because I'm like, I just don't like it. So you're welcome. You're welcome, Mike.
Thank you so much. I mean, you're family to me, so I really appreciate it. And now let's get into what we're smoking first. So what are you smoking right now?
I am smoking Three Kingdoms by Stolen Throne Cigars. I just love their cigars. I don't know if you've had any that Lee Marsh makes from Stolen Throne.
I've had some Stolen Throne, a few of them.
Yeah. The Three Kingdoms is, oh my God, it's so fantastic. So, yep, that's what I'm smoking.
Nice.
And I have a Kentucky Fire Cure in case I burn through this one fast. But
oh yeah, I got my travel case right next to me, so got more cigars in there. But what I'm smoking right now is the Room 101 13th anniversary. I've been smoking a lot of these cigars. Like, this cigar has just really been that one of those go-to for me, which I don't necessarily always have a go-to cigar because I love so many different types of cigars. So
yeah, I know. I always say I never had one until I just started smoking the PDMs, the Perler de Mars by JC Newman. Oh my God. Like I could smoke those. I would say those are like one of my go-to cigars. Especially when I'm jumping in the car, having to go do errands, I just pop that on and like pop one in and just go.
Yep. Yeah. But this 13th anniversary, we've sold a shit ton of them at our shop. So like, and whenever me and my manager, whenever we agree on liking a cigar, that's when a cigar just flies out the door because people both, respect both of our opinions. We're the full-time guys. We smoke all the time. So, and the fact that, I got mad love for Matt Booth, and all that, like, that kind of helps too. So
nice.
So we're going to get started here. I used to always have a lot of notes. Like Kevin was, is my idol on doing podcasts. But, I moved away from pages and pages of notes and just keep it natural conversation. So, everybody sees you, you're part of Cigar Prop, part of Trash Panda Cigars, part of the Broadleaf Bullies. You're out there. They see you as Kevin's sidekick. But this is a chance for you, Jess, to finally get some shine.
Oh, yay.
For yourself. So
All right.
let's take it back from the beginning. So, you're originally a Jersey girl. So tell us a little bit about you growing up and all that good stuff.
Well, like you just said, I'm a Jersey girl. I was born and raised in New Jersey. Was born in Plainfield, New Jersey, but grew up in Edison. And then when I was a teenager, my parents moved to an area called Hunterdon County, which is like the last exit before Pennsylvania. So it's pretty out there. And that was like the first time I had ever seen like deer, like, or country, you know? So, that was always interesting. And then when I was, in my 20s, I moved around a little bit and ended up in North Carolina for a while and lived in the mountains there. And then I ended up here in Florida. Didn't like it. Moved to another part of Florida, like Jacksonville area, and kind of liked it because it was on the Atlantic side. It wasn't as hot.
Yeah.
And then I ended up back down in this area, and this is where I've been ever since. So
Nice.
if I can move again, I probably would, but I can't convince Kevin. So
Yeah, most definitely. Now I've heard, when Kevin came on my show, he told his side of the story about how you guys met, and
oh yeah.
So give us your side of the story to see how it adds up, and we'll just go from there.
I mean, we met on Plenty of Fish, like through a dating website. I hadn't been like, I had gone through a divorce and was a single mom of 3 kids for a long time, and 2 of my friends were like, you need to start dating, like you need to have like more of a life. And I was like, I'm fine, like I'm good. They're like, you're too young to be like already like done with like anybody. And I was like, okay. So they set me up a profile on Plenty of Fish, and I had gone on a couple dates with people, and honestly I was like, this is stupid, like this is the stupidest thing. And then I kind of was talking to Kevin a little bit, but we hadn't met up. And I took my oldest son, when he graduated, he wanted to go to New York and do like this whole like huge tour of like New York City and all that stuff. And so I took him, and when I got back is when I kind of really started talking to Kevin. And then like we met up and we had dinner, and then it was like never kind of separated. So pretty much how I remember it. I mean, Kevin was kind of off-putting a little bit in the beginning because he like was always pushing like me outside my comfort zone. Like when he was like, oh, do you want to go have dinner? And I was like, yeah. So we go and have dinner, and it's at his parents' house. It's like our second date or third date. And I'm like, what the hell? Why would you bring me here? We don't even know each other. So weird shit like that in the beginning, So that should have been a red flag, like of what my life was going to be like the next, like, the last 6 years. But yeah, so
Yeah. Now getting on Plenty of Fish, that wasn't your idea. You had friends that set you up a profile. Like, what's the trick? Because I've been on Plenty of Fish, just time to time, but now it seems like there's plenty of bots on there.
Oh,
and
I'm sure there is
a bunch of fake profiles, and it's like, why am I even on here? Like, like, why is this hot chick that was originally from Ukraine messaging me, and then the next thing you know, they're trying to get you to join a profile. Like, what's the secret for
to be
success
honest,
on there?
I don't know, because there was just a lot of weird people too. Like, finding someone who's legit is not easy, I don't think. And plus, everybody always wants to put their best picture forward, their best lighting forward, but it's like, yeah, just really post who you are, because they're gonna see you in person. So like, if you look way different, like, don't be like, oh, I took this picture like 4 years ago. Take a brand new picture. Like, you cannot pretend. That's not how that works. Unless you're doing like some kind of virtual relationship, then I guess it won't matter. But
I mean, they say don't put shirtless pictures, which I don't, but it's kind of, it's like one of those things. Like, I thought about it, but I was like, no, they got to find out. Like, I got to rope them in first.
I think for me too, it was like not picking someone that was like pretty far away either. Like I feel like a lot of people will like go on it and then they'll put a radius so far and it's like, okay, you're going to drive 2 hours to go on a date with someone. No, it's not realistic, you know, and plus I also kept it in an age range that was appropriate.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because
you weren't looking for like 6-year-old sugar daddies.
Or looking for really young guys. You know, I was just like trying to find someone who was around my age, would kind of have some life experience. You know, that had some baggage. You know, like I was well past my 20s and my, you know, beginning of my, you know, in the mid of my 30s by the time I met Kevin. So it was, you know, who was I going to pretend like, oh, I'm perfect, I have no baggage? Yeah, it's not realistic.
Yeah. You know? Most definitely. Now, as you guys, you know, got together, you know, Kevin was getting into cigars and everything, and here he goes again, you know, taking you outside your comfort zone. Like, what was your initial reaction when, you know, the cigars came into the picture? Were you accepting or?
Yeah, because that really wasn't outside my comfort zone. My father smoked cigars. My grandfather smoked a pipe and cigars. My uncles do. Actually, my brother smokes cigars. My brother-in-law, my actual son, my oldest son smokes cigars now. But like, I wasn't like heavily into cigars, but I had been exposed to them and have had them. So it wasn't like a foreign concept, but it was like, I didn't even know like a cigar world existed. You know what I mean? Like that was like not something I even realized. Just like beards. Like when I met Kevin, of course I've seen people with beards and been with people with short beards, but having beards that like people do competitions and stuff for, and he had his beard product. I didn't know there was beard groupies. I was like, wait, people come up and grope your beard? Like, how weird is that? Like, I had no clue like that people did weird shit like that. But not saying the cigar industry is weird, but I just didn't realize there was like a community, you know? So that was something new to me. Like doing the shows and going to any kind of events was way outside my comfort zone. Like I was like, I kind of just want to sit in my garage and smoke, like, and not talk to people.
Yeah.
So that was
But I
hard.
mean, once you got out there though, like, you know, was your reaction pretty positive? Were you just overwhelmed?
Well, luckily our local lounge, everyone that was there is just so inviting and just great, but there was no women except for like the owner's wife was there, you know? So I wasn't exposed to a lot of women at first, until we started like traveling and going and doing, the cigar when we had like our own product that we were selling and stuff and, doing the shows and being vendors. That's when I started noticing like a lot more women cigar smokers. So then I started to feel even more comfortable like after that. Not that men smokers make you feel uncomfortable, but it is intimidating if you walk in and like that's it. It's just all men. And they all turn and look at you when you walk in and you're like, hello.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that, you know, you're part of the I mean, Kevin, you know, puts you out of your comfort zone at times, but you kind of pushed him out of his comfort zone because he was making, you know, his cigar props, and so tell us about, you know, you pushing him to be like, hey, you need to turn this into something.
Well, I mean, I think it really was like an organic thing. Kevin's a tinkerer. And like, so when I met him, he was constantly in this garage doing stuff and always trying to come up with like ways to just like make life easier or elevate like a product or, you know, adapt something to make it more user friendly. And so when he started doing the cigar props, he started making them out of wood, you know, by hand and like doing all the stuff on his lathe. And then it was kind of like, hey, what do you think about this? And so I was like, oh, it's kind of a cool concept. And he's like, oh, and we can put like a cigar band around it. And then the name Cigar Prop, because I was like, well, it's a prop for your cigar. So that's how Cigar Prop kind of came to fruition. So I always supported it and was like, do it. And so I think just knowing that like he would spend hours and hours and hours just trying to make prototypes and get down like some kind of, you know, product that he could actually like mass produce or at least produce enough to make you know, some money off of it. Yeah. And I think knowing that I was just like supportive of that, like helped keep him, you know, doing it. there has been times where I'm just like, man, why did I do that? I wish, because we'd be like an assembly line, all of us, especially when he started going to like brass and like, you know, doing the different metals, and we had to polish and, you know, bag them all up. I mean, we still have to do a lot of stuff now, but it is way easier than when we first started.
Yeah.
But you know, it's definitely worth it. It's awesome to see how far it's grown, you know, especially when we're not vendors anymore at events. And that's, you know, I mean, we used to do a lot of events, so it's different now. We're spectators kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
most
kind
definitely.
of cool.
And a lot of people don't realize that, you know, because I know it's been mentioned on shows, you talk about it on social media, we've talked about it in person, whenever, but it's a family affair for sure. I mean, I know it's gotten a lot easier, but, you know, you're putting, you know, like you said, you're doing like an assembly line on, you know, to be able to send stuff out or whatever, to box stuff up and all that. So like, I mean, to keep it simple, so how does that go? Like, is it something that's enjoyed by everybody because you're doing something together, or is everybody just saying, "Ah, fuck this shit"?
No, so Kevin has no tact. There is no like, hey, like, let's all sit down and do this. It's like kind of plops it all, like, especially at my daughter, he'll like plop like a box and be like, all right, I need all these filled. And like, she's a teenager and she's like looking at him like on a Saturday, you know, like I hate you, you know, for putting me through this. But like a lot of times, like my son, like he'll help me sticker and we'll watch like a movie or something. It takes him a million years to sticker, but it's like whatever. At least that's one less thing that I have to do, you know, while I'm doing things I know he can't do. But you know, a lot of times it's like, hey, do you want a slushie? You want us to get you McDonald's? And then like it's all of a sudden everyone's packaging really fast. So yeah, but Kevin just kind of is like, whatever, you're gonna earn your keep.
I mean, that's the way to do it. You got to start them young. Be like, you got to earn your keep, boy, girl.
Yeah, like just do it. But yeah, so but I mean, when we were doing it in the garage, then I think it was kind of fun for them because they were also younger. Now they're older. They know it's not fun.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen you make posts and you know why it's on, you know, why doing it and everything, and it seems like he actually enjoys it. You know, out of everybody, you know,
he
it's
does.
like
He's
like the employee. He's employee of the year.
Yeah, he's definitely he's a big time helper. He likes to help. So, you know, I'm glad that, you know, I can sit there and do that with him. But yeah, with our daughter, we just throw her in her bedroom. That way she can still like be a teenager cranky, you know, with her headphones on. And she's probably cursing us out, but at least we don't have to look at it or hear it. So whatever, it's like, go over there.
Yeah, most definitely. And you know, just as things progress along, you know, in the show and everything, you know, you've become, you know, you've kind of evolved into the producer of the I Tap That Cigar show. Like, so take us into behind the scenes of, you know, when you're producing. You know, you're sitting where Kevin is today. He's in the background, you know, and just listening to everything. But what are kind of your duties as producer?
Oh, I mean, basically, I just have to make sure like all the tickers are like correct and make sure we're running the, you know, the tickers for the night for our sponsors or any information that needs to be put out there. And then making sure the overlays, like any of our bands and stuff, so it's the right layout. Because if we have only, you know, one guest on, or if we have 4 guests on, you know, it's like how you have to do the layout. Make sure that if there is any type of like video that needs to be played, to get that timed right. Even though poor Care last night was so frustrated, he like hit the wrong thing, but that was Care's responsibility last night. But Kevin really does have a well-oiled machine. I mean, I don't think we'll ever live up to his actual expectations of everything because he is very thorough, and like obviously he would just do it himself because it's, you know, he knows how he likes it. Yeah. So I try my best to keep up with all his stuff, and when he changes something, like I roll my eyes and give him attitude, but it's important to him, so I do try to respect that. But I kind of feel like what I'm doing is not complicated, but he put in a lot of work, so I should pay attention to what he's trying to teach me. Kevin is Sheldon, Jen. You're right. Absolutely. But yeah, so for the most part, like, you know, just making sure, like, when we select the winner, like when we do a giveaway or something, you know, that I have all that information. And you know, I'm sure I do more, but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, it's important because, you know, people like me that run a one man show, we got to do all this
Yeah.
ourselves, and
Yeah, I will say that
so
he has said that it is a lot easier that he does not have to worry about like when to, you know, the tickers to when to put it on or when a guest comes on. And then, you know, if we do show a video, like that video wipes away, because people, I don't think, you know, if you don't know what StreamYard is, that's what a lot of
yeah,
people use. Like it wipes away all of your sponsors and all of your, you know, stuff on screen. So you have to put them back up, you know, as if
yeah.
it never disappeared. And so,
I have two brands on my StreamYard because I have my secondary podcast, Gangsters and Cigars, which I'm not the host of, but I'm the one who kind of like produces that because, and I'm the co-host, and
yeah.
you know, my buddy Bobby kind of runs stuff as far as like the content, but I just kind of make sure that it gets recorded and seen. So
Yeah, yeah. So you know, yeah.
yeah. So let's see here. And then Broadleaf Bullies, you know, you guys have really, you know, I love that show. It's a completely different, and you know, upon watching, I was watching the show. You know, I tapped that cigar show last night,
Mm-hmm.
and Jen is now smoking cigars.
Yes,
Congratulations to Jen. So, like, how
yes.
does that dynamic change? You know, with the Broadleaf Bullies now that she's into cigars? Like, are you kind of like are you kind of like reliving like your early days?
No, I feel like with the Broadleaf Bullies, because it wasn't really based around like the cigars. So
Yeah.
it's nice that, you know, now that all four of us are able to have that, but that was really never like our main element for the show. But it's cool, like, but I love the enthusiasm and the knowledge that Jen has already without ever smoking cigars.
Oh yeah, she's been around it like crazy.
Right, so this is like cool to see, you know, her delve into it and like start, you know, knowing what she likes and doesn't like. And I knew she would like strong cigars because she loves strong coffee.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's cool to watch that. And last night was just really really cool too, because, you know, when we had you know, Sharon Holt talking about stuff, like it was cool that Jen had that connection and was able to, you know, relate and have like cool conversations with another, you know, cigar woman, you know. So
Oh,
it's cool.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I just love the element that you guys bring, you know, two couples, and sometimes, you know, the debates, you know, get pretty heated, but it keeps people into what you're talking about, you know. And it's been a while since I've checked out the Broadleaf Bullies. I'll watch I tap that cigar show a little bit more often, but you know, when that jersey comes out, the two jerseys come out. That's what
Yeah,
makes it so fun.
I just read a comment from It's Just Manny. Yeah, those cheerleaders. He's never gonna let me live my cheerleading story down. Mike, you were witness to the cheerleaders. We ate breakfast, remember, at the
Yeah.
hotel with those very perky, peppy cheerleaders. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Like it was too early in the morning for that shit. I was
I
like,
know, right?
no. But yeah, the cigar bully or the oh my god,
Broadleaf.
I said cigar bullies. The broadleaf bullies brings out the worst, I think, in me. For whatever reason, I'm already a very animated, vocal person, and you could love me or hate me, I don't care. Like I'm never gonna be fake. I do try to like tone it down a little bit, but I curse. I'm never gonna stop. It's just part of who I am. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
same here. And you know, I was last Friday, one of my favorite talk radio shows in the morning. They're out of Orlando on Real Radio 104.1. Shouts out to the Monsters in the Morning because I got a lot of shout outs that they were live in Cocoa Beach.
oh.
And I ended up getting on the radio because I was playing like one of the games. And then, you know, they got me shirtless when it was freaking cold outside. And then Russ started asking about my Cigar Hustlers podcast tattoo right
Yeah.
there. And then I started telling the story about how it came about. I was like, yeah, they were just talking shit, and I said shit on the radio. It was like, you can't say that. And
Oh
then
my gosh.
they had to cut me off, so I didn't get to finish the story. But a lot of people told me that they did not use the dump button, and the word shit did go out over the airwaves. So I
Well,
said I said shit on the radio. So
oh, nice.
and I don't have to censor myself. So I'm like, I don't give a fuck what comes out of my mouth. I try not to cuss just to cuss, but
Right.
it's just part of
Yeah.
my
And
vernacular.
I get it. I get why some people would say like it definitely can sound ugly, like, and it doesn't sound maybe educated, I guess, like, but I'm not on this earth to please people. Like, that's not my job. And sign up for that. I don't care, and I think that maybe puts people off too, like, because I don't care if I please you or not, or
Exactly.
if you like how I look or how I talk. Like, that doesn't matter to me. I mean, obviously I'm going to treat you well if you treat me well, but
Hmm.
I don't tell other people what to do.
Absolutely, most definitely. So let's get into a little bit before I got to do a commercial break. So let's talk about uh Trash Panda cigars. It's something that new that you guys came up with,
Mm-hmm.
and how's that going for you guys and all that?
It's going good. I think once our new space is done, it will be that much better, because that's kind of what that's like, having the new space was going to kind of really be like our baby, is
Yeah.
separate from cigar props, separate from anything we've done. And that just kind of didn't happen the way we were hoping. Obviously, we had, issues, and then we had a hurricane, and, stuff happens. So hopefully it will be done soon so we can really focus a lot more on Trash Panda. But we're doing it out of all the chaos and small quantity of space we have. We've been doing it, but not as full time in the way we would like to do it. So, but it's going to be so much cooler and more exciting when we have the ability to really like go full force with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take a quick commercial break. Shouts out my sponsor and all that. So I'm gonna put you down below, and then we're gonna come back. We got a lot more to talk about. If we go over an hour tonight,
Okay.
it'll be it'll be fun. So I'm gonna put you down below. We're gonna shout out my sponsor. So Herf Zone Live is sponsored by Nomos Cigars, rated 91 in Cigars and Spirits magazine. Nomos is a full-bodied 6x56 cigar that features a rich, full flavor accomplished with a high-quality construction and exclusive aging process. Once the fine cigar is born, it immediately begins our exclusive Nomos Aging Process nap. While each cigar naps, it continues to develop its unique aroma and flavor that sets itself apart from any other cigar the world over. It is a delicious medium smoke resulting from the finely aged Cameroon wrapper and blend of an 8-year-old seco Dominican filler and 5-year-old Nicaragua criollo filler. The Indonesian Sumatran binder finishes the cigar ingredients with the finest quality tobacco available. This exclusive blend provides a beautiful smoke right down to the last nub. Check out nomoscigars.com for info on where to find retailers that carry Nomos cigars. Orders also available on their website. Also follow them on Instagram at Nomos Cigars. Alrighty. So we are back, and I know you smoked one of my sponsors' cigars, Nomos Cigars. Because
Oh, I love their cigar, and they are literally like the nicest people.
yeah,
Like, seriously, like, I actually was hoping that I got to meet them at the Ybor City festival, cigar festival, or I guess they're calling it Heritage Festival. And they weren't going to be there when we were there, and I was like, so I really got to make it a point to like meet up with them somehow. I
yeah,
just
because
really
the
like
warehouse is
them.
in Clearwater or St.
Yeah.
Pete. So
Yeah, they're not that far. So
yeah, but they actually live in New York, but their
yes.
warehouse is from
Yeah.
here in Florida. So
Yeah. Yeah. They're
shouts out to
just
my guys, man.
yeah,
Good
I
people.
really enjoy them. They're just so, and like, they even checked in after the hurricane to see how me and Kevin were doing and stuff. Like, just really good people. So
Yeah,
yeah.
most definitely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the hurricane, because the West
Mm.
Coast, man,
Yeah.
you guys definitely got it. And, it was kind of like life wasn't normal. Just like us on the East Coast, we got back to normal
Yeah.
fairly quickly. But tell us a little. I know you've kind of documented on social media, but
Yeah.
just tell us a little bit. Like, did that put you guys behind in construction? Like,
Oh,
after the
yeah.
fact, or was there any damage to the construction?
No, so there was no damage. Okay, so we got so lucky. Like our house was still standing, and I mean, we had our fence was knocked over a little bit, like bent from other people's shit, like not ours. Like we prepared as much as we could. Our new addition part wasn't damaged. Our roof wasn't damaged because we had a brand new roof put on like a couple months or like 2 months right before the hurricane, luckily. But our neighborhood, the homes are older, and
Yeah.
a lot of times too, people maybe, their roofs were like already 17, 18 years old and hadn't been replaced yet. And so that was gone, like their roofs were gone. But a couple of my neighbors, specifically across the street from us, completely devastated. They're still not living in their house. So,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just not good. But it definitely like affected us in the sense like, the gas, like trying to get food and everything, but we didn't have electricity, so it really didn't matter. But it was like, where do you go? Like you couldn't even go get anywhere to go eat or anything. It was like crazy. And people were like panicking, and it was like, calm down, calm down. Like you don't need a whole cart full of food, like you could buy the basics. We were buying bread and peanut butter. Like you can sacrifice for a couple days, but people don't do stuff like that. They just get greedy or they panic.
Yeah.
And they purchase all this stuff, and it's like, well, what about everybody? Like try to think of, everyone. There's a shortage because you're overbuying,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've definitely been hit with some hurricanes here on the East Coast before, and like luckily, any house that I've lived in or apartment, we didn't have any major damage, but we've had electricity being off for several days, and I've had to go to a elementary school for a shelter and stuff like that. But
and here officially for us was, I think it was day 7 we got the electricity turned back on. But some people still didn't have it for like almost a month in certain parts of Northport. And I know in like Fort Myers and like Sanibel, like there are people that I think even still now don't have like power or amenities. Like I know in Englewood, which is another town near us, it's an older community. It got destroyed. I mean, they're still trying to like clean up. Still.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, before the Heritage Festival, I went to Ellington, Florida, which is close to Tampa, where my great aunt and uncle live, and they live in like a 55 and up community. It's like manufactured homes and all that.
Oh yeah, they're
and
demolished.
So their house was fine, but we were taking a ride on the golf cart, and there was houses around their neighborhood, and we crossed the street to the other part of the park and all that, and there was houses with just carports were down. Like it was like I've never seen the damage like that bad in person.
Right. So my parents so they sold their house and have a camper trailer, and they were traveling a little bit, and then they decided to find something to kind of have like a home base. So they are in Encore Park, which is not a 55 and up. It's anybody could live there in their, it could, and then they have the modulars. So my parents bought like a 1-bedroom modular. It had like a beautiful sunroom, and like it was very, very nice. That got destroyed. Their base of their place was fine, but everything else got like wiped away in their roof. So they just got the roof done like a month ago, and then they got like their porch kind of back up. My dad did it himself in the slider door because almost all the windows were broken. And then the carport, one of the guys that I guess does maintenance around there is supposed to help my dad rebuild it. But yeah, so they got some damage. And then my brother and his girlfriend, their house that got a lot of water damage. Ooh. Lots of water damage. So, and then Kevin's daughter had just bought a house and hadn't even moved in yet. And has to have a new roof put on.
Ooh.
Yeah, so yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so everybody out there, if you're still going through it because of because of, you know, the hurricanes and stuff. You know, you're in our thoughts and prayers always, and you know, those that are back to reality and real life, like, you know, I know you guys aren't taking it for granted for sure. So
yeah, no, but you know, I feel like in any kind of disaster, you know, I mean, if it doesn't affect you directly, it's kind of hard, right? You know, to like relate. Luckily, like I mean, it got cleaned up pretty fast. I mean, I was impressed. I mean, the FPL, like, kudos to them for the shifts that they worked. You know, obviously, people came from other states to help, and you know, I mean, it was definitely like a cool experience in that sense of seeing all these different people come into these communities and just kick ass and try to get some normalcy back for a lot of people. And I feel I felt like for our elderly, like it was the most important, you know, because I mean, it's sad because a lot of those people don't have insurance. I mean, their houses were paid off, they're old, but they don't have insurance. So they got screwed.
Yep. And so that's the thing about insurance, you know, you hate it, but then, you know, when you actually need it,
and so for us,
it.
We did find like we have a crack in our foundation. We found that later on, which, you know, I mean, water came in. Luckily, we had you know, a dehumidifier, and you know, that helped a lot get the moisture out. I mean, that's what we were trying to do, is just keep the moisture, because the longer you don't have electricity and AC and like you can't filter anything out, the mold starts like instantly. But we never saw the crack until like we were looking at stuff and we're like, oh crap. So when they do the stucco on our addition, we're just gonna have them fix the crack and stuff, so in the foundation. So, you know, other than that, like, we weren't going to use our insurance because we didn't have that kind of damage, luckily. You know, but for some people, even their insurance just doesn't cover the damage. So
that's the thing about it, but it's all good. But so we were all at the Heritage Festival, but you know, it was kind of a busy week. We had our agendas the first day, and then I was able to spend the rest of the weekend with y'all.
Yeah.
You guys went to the FSG farm, and I know, you know, we've all been there. You've been there several times, I know, and all that. So tell us about, you know, your time in the afternoon, you know, before, you know, going into Tampa and all that, like about, you know, what you guys were doing at the FSG farm.
Well, first we started at the JC Newman factory. So they did like a meet and greet breakfast, and then they did a tour of the factory, and which, you know, if nobody's ever done before, it's a must on your list. If you're ever in Tampa, you have to go and do the factory tour. It's amazing. So then we didn't do the bus, like we drove ourselves up there. So everybody loaded on the bus and went up, and we just drove, you know, up by ourselves to the farm. So it was, you know, a continuation of like for the American and for what was the Kevin, because Kevin's in here. So what was the cigar that they also were, that had FSG tobacco in it that he handed out? It was I think, was it still the American, but it was a different size?
Yeah, it was American in a size that you can only get at the factory.
Only get at the factory. That's what it was. And so Drew was handing them out, and we were in the field with Jeff and Drew and talking about the tobacco and everything. And it was more intimate because it was a small group, and it wasn't like chaos or, you know, like a party or anything. It was really educational, and it was just talking about all the history and everything that goes into, you know, growing the tobacco, and then like, you know, JC Newman and Corona's collaboration, or Jeff's collaboration with them and stuff. And it was just really cool, you know, and then they fed us, you know, which was really, really cool. And I don't know, it was something unique. I don't think it was something that Jeff had done before, or even Drew, like get everyone there and have like an intimate small tour and really you get to go in the barn and obviously touch the tobacco, and we got to pick the tobacco, and I got the first FSG pepper that they were growing. That's nice. That's what we're calling it, the FSG peppers, and I got to try one, and it was like, just like bite into it. It's like an apple.
Right off the vine.
Yeah. Right off the vine. It was so cool. But yeah, like I think everybody on the tour agreed, like it was just so cool because you got to ask any questions you wanted, and you really were able to get a response and spend as much time as you wanted, like getting all this knowledge. Even on the tour at the JC Newman Factory, was such a small group, so it was so nice to be able to really like delve into all the information. So it was unique. So I hope they do more of that because it was really cool.
Yeah, most definitely. It would have been cool to do that. I had to get prepared to do the thing with Robert Caldwell with the Caldwell Cares Foundation and Clearwater.
And like, wasn't there like a scavenger hunt or something like that? Or?
Yeah, but a lot of people were like out late, so it kind of like he kind of planned, Aaron kind of planned too much stuff, and then so I was just like, okay, like the next day, and I was trying to wrangle in Melanie, and when it was time to leave, and then I forgot to grab the bags and all that. But like a lot of people, I was supposed to meet him in the morning, but he was like, a lot of people didn't leave, go to sleep till like 4 or 5 in the morning. So I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not a super late person like I used to be. Like, I think I came in like a little after midnight or whatever. You guys were, already asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, the Heritage Festival this year was a lot of fun. So I definitely had a lot of fun.
I was going to ask you, how did you like the different format and how it was run this one compared to ones in the past?
I've only went to like one other one, so I didn't really have a lot to compare it to.
Okay.
But like I've heard, from certain people since then, like a lot of retailers were kind of pissed off because, there was few retailers there, and the organizers, they just, bought from the cigar companies, and the cigar companies were there selling cigars and not the retailers. But that's like the main difference. And, but see, I just was an attendee. I didn't get a VIP ticket, so I just got in for free. So, and just kind of hung out. So
yeah, I can't say that it was good or bad. Obviously, it had its moments of, where it was like, oh, this is cool that they're doing this. And then, why did they do this? Like, they should have left this alone. Like, so, I think they'll work the kinks out because, obviously, I think calling it the Heritage Festival, they want to turn it into something a little bit different than what it was in the past. I don't know. I always enjoyed myself in the past, even when like it was really, really small and like not a lot of people went. I've always thought it was kind of a cool thing to do. And plus just going to Ybor is just fun, It's just a different experience. I felt like there's just too many people there this past time. Like it was a lot jammed in there, and I was kind of like, ooh, this is a little too much. Like I didn't feel like you could spend enough time, like kind of at the booths and checking things out. And, it was just a lot. So it wasn't bad. It was just a lot. It was a lot different than last year or the year before.
Oh yeah. And, the people behind it, no matter what, some people, everybody's going to have their opinion on stuff. But me, I'm just there to kind of just hang out and see people, because people travel from all over. And
well, that's what I was gonna say too. I got to meet a lot of people that I've only ever talked to online for like the last 6 years, so that was cool. So it's always nice to meet people in person.
I've met a lot of people that either support the show or follow me on social media or whatever, and then it was at the point this year when I was walking around, there were some people I didn't even. They just knew who I was. Like I never even remember. I've never interacted with them, but I took pictures with a lot of people.
Nice.
That's the thing. Walking around shirtless, like it's kind of hard for me to like.
It's kind of hard for you to blend. I'm like, it's kind of hard for you to blend when you don't have your shirt on. Like.
I just walk around. Like it's kind of hard for me to like walk. Like I see, local people, my friends from Executive in Melbourne. Yeah. And all that, but it's like kind of hard for me to just roll in a group because I have to be all over the place, and and then people just are like, hey, Shirley, and then they want to take pictures, and it's it's always fun, regardless. So
cool. That's awesome.
So yeah, now let me get into this topic here of cigar influencers, because of that, me, you, Kevin, we kind of technically, fall into that category, but there's been a lot of hate towards, I'm gonna say hate, just people, kind of like cracking on the term influencer. But so, what's your general definition of the word influencer?
Okay, well, I definitely don't think I'm an influencer, because like when I think of influencer, I think of people who are like legitly getting like these crazy sponsor paid deals, right? Like that's not happened. Like that's not happened for me. I think from me, from my perspective, like it's kind of more like if I really dig a brand, or if like someone's reached out to me and like I know them and they want, to me to promote something, like I do it because they're my friends, or I care about this community and or I really enjoy that cigar and I want more people to enjoy this cigar, So yeah, if that influences someone, great. But like, I'm not going out there purposely to influence to get money. I think that's where I feel like that's the difference. Like we have a product, and I think people forget that. Like when someone maybe makes a comment about me and Kevin, I think people forget that Kevin and I run like 3 businesses, that have nothing to do with like influencing cigars, like, which is fine. They don't need to know those things, and they can say whatever they want, but it's, at least get your facts straight about people.
Yeah, most definitely. And I feel like, just because somebody is on social media and they may have a lot of followers, that doesn't necessarily make them an influencer. Like somebody that's a true influencer, like, like me on Instagram, I have, I only got like over 2,500 followers on Instagram. And, but in everyday life though, like people respect my opinion. I work at a shop, they trust my opinion. And, I constantly influence people to buy something, something just based on my recommendation. And I mean, to me, that's the true influencer, because otherwise,
I mean,
you're just talking noise on the internet.
But I think everybody's an influencer in some way, because if somebody posts something that they're excited about, or they tried, or they're doing, are you not trying to influence the audience that, you're putting that out there to? I've, however you want to look at it, like I post like stuff all the time, like random stuff a lot of times too. And it's like, oh, some people are like, oh, it's really cool. Or like, if I make like, I made bagels the other day, homemade bagels. And then somebody asked me for the recipe. So did I influence them? Apparently they wanted the recipe. So that's what I'm saying. That term, whatever, however people want to look at it.
And, I kind of coined this phrase. Instead of saying influencer, I call myself a cigar lifestyle advocate.
Okay, there you go.
I feel like I've coined that phrase right there, because the term influencer has kind of gotten real, like a negative connotation to it. Somebody's like, oh, this person, people talk their noise, out of jealousy. But if somebody's a cigar lifestyle advocate, that's what we are. We're a cigar lifestyle advocate.
Right. But this is such a small community. And, honestly, like, Kevin is great at a lot of stuff that he does. I don't aspire to be that. Like, you know what I mean? For me, like, I will support him in whatever he wants to do, but like there's certain things that I just don't have any interest in, And so people who aspire to do certain things, like you said earlier, like you aspire to be like, how Kevin did some of his stuff with his notes and stuff. I mean, those are all great things. And I see a lot of people who do like channels, like, they come into their own. They might start off and evolve and change. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it is a lot of work. And I don't know that people realize that you just can't do like, oh, I'm going to get my phone and set up a speaker and just start talking to people and it be entertaining, right? Like,
yeah,
I think it takes a lot more than that, but that's fine. If people want to try that, that's awesome. Like, I would never discourage anyone from doing that, but it isn't as easy as a lot of people, and it's time consuming. Like, Kevin sacrifices, we all as a family sacrifice a lot for him to do some of the stuff that he does. I just don't think people think deep enough of some of the stuff that people are putting out there. So it's so easy to criticize people from behind a keyboard.
Yep.
Like, okay, it's like, that's fine. But you watched and you tune in and you pay attention. So what is that all about?
Exactly. And true influencers are not just somebody who takes a picture and be like, there it's done. Like, we spend a lot of time, perfecting our craft, just building relationships with people, and that's very time consuming. It's
Yeah,
exhausting at times.
it is. And like I told Kevin in the beginning, like, when we first started like doing stuff was, I don't mind being behind the scenes. Like I'm fine with that. Like I'm not trying to be, in the forefront of anything. But then there's times where it's like I just want to have a real conversation with people about cigars. Like,
Yeah, or just anything in general. Like some of my best times, me and you just like
yeah,
me and Kevin get along great and all that, but me and you are like, I know, great friends where we could just sit down and just talk about whatever. Like especially, when we were in Tampa and all the, the original internet people, from the AL.
That's
that
the
was
other
so
thing
good.
Too. That was cool to be able to even experience like people who've been in the game for over like 20 plus years. Like super cool, like some of those, that one lady, she was 75?
Yeah.
Or like 72. And she like gave us cigars. Like she was just so cool. And she was like one of the first female.
Yeah.
Like,
she was like, and Kevin even made a joke about it. He was like, yeah, it was just like one woman that was a part of it. That sure enough.
Right. And then sure as crap, there was this lady right there. Yeah, it was super
the
cool.
one lone woman.
Oh, thanks, Chris.
I gotta put that up on the screen. So, realest chick in the game.
I love it. Thank you.
And he said bar none, so it's official.
Yeah,
it's official there.
It's official.
Yeah, but I mean, we could sit down, have a conversation. That's what it's about. That's what cigars are at the end of the day. Just a chance to, connect, because we live on separate sides of the state. So whenever we get together and hang out, it's always a blast. And me and you were kind of talking about mental health and stuff like that, because I put it out there. I deal with anxiety a lot, sometimes depression, but not as much depression as I used to. But it's just something that needs to be talked about, because it's just one of those things where people struggle with that. It's a real life struggle, and especially being public people, we have to say something about it, especially if it's something that we struggle with at times in our personal life, like because it hits home for a lot of people. So
it does.
How have you dealt with anxiety?
I mean, honestly, I don't think I deal with anxiety very well, but I think just to give maybe people, because I don't obviously put that much of I try not to put that much of my personal self out there. Kevin's obviously more forthcoming of like, but for people who don't know, I do have a son with Down syndrome, and he's been through a lot of medical stuff. And I don't know how to relate sometimes to people, because my life is different than theirs. It's just the truth of it, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just that's how it is. And I sometimes struggle with that, because it's like I know I put a lot of stuff on the like off to the side or on the back burner out of like I feel obligated to focus on like my family versus maybe some stuff that I really want to do, So that causes like not so much anxiety, but maybe a little bit of depression at times, because I'm like, like other people don't have to deal with this. They have their own struggles for sure, but then I always feel like you throw a layer with a kid who's got medical stuff on top of a lifelong commitment. He's my literally my forever child, it changes things, and so for me, lately I've been riding a bike with my dad, like trying to spend more time, like just not taking things for granted and spending the time with my loved ones. So every morning I get up, I get the kids to school, I go and ride bikes with my dad. And I'm going to start doing a yoga class with my friend and Kevin's daughter at night. So like I'm just trying to take and live in the moment more. I think that that's something that will help with some of the pressures and anxiety I feel, so
yeah,
there's that.
I'm being the same way. Like I told my mom, like this year we got to do, get back to Sunday dinners. Like I always have Sundays off, and we got to get back to the old school Sunday dinners, just hanging out, just living in the moment. And ever since I lost my cousin a couple years ago now, it's just like live in the moment. When his family came to Florida, to visit, I had a limited amount of time, but I made sure I was like, okay, they were at the zoo. I was like, yo, bet I'm going to the zoo. They came over for brunch, hung out, and enjoyed our time. And that's what it's all about, because living in the moment and just enjoying every moment, just pushing past like your feelings, because I think a lot of the times how you feel tends to influence how you may react or whatever. But if you push past all that, then you'll be able to survive. You'll be able to make it.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to put yourself out there in any capacity. Like for some people, it's a struggle to even just get up and maybe even go to the food store. It's real.
Yeah.
Like there's social anxiety for people. So I always try to think, just as positive as I can. I tend to somewhat be a little bit of an Eeyore, a little negative.
Yeah.
But I do try to see the positive and and keep pushing forward and trying different things and stuff. But, I have my oldest son's in the Army, so I'm like a worrier. So I'm constantly worrying about him and his mental health and his well-being, because so many people in the military, have a lot of mental health and anxiety and stuff. And so I'm always we talk almost every single day. He's my buddy, but he's also my son, and he's probably not going to tell me everything because I'm his mom.
He's not going to tell you everything. He'll tell you a lot, but not everything.
Right. So that's something that I think about, and I think that's just it. It's just letting people be who they need to be in that moment and support them as best as you can. And and if you are feeling a certain type of way, reach out. There's people out there who are willing to sit and just listen. I think that's important, is to remember you're never alone, really.
Yep. Most definitely. And that's what I like about the cigar community, because people, deal with stuff, and we tend to rally around that person, and just, no matter how it is, just let them vent, just here's a cigar. Let's talk about this, and however long it takes.
Yep. That's nice to have that community. And that is one of the things that I think helped me go through some stuff too, is being able to smoke a cigar. It relaxes me. It gives me a chance to slow down and really process stuff and just kick back, so it's pretty cool.
People ask me all the time why I'm always smoking a cigar. I'm like, well, I don't want to take anxiety medication, and it helps me from just going off on people. It keeps me calm. So
I can't even picture you not being calm, but
I'm pretty calm. If I'm not calm, that's the time to worry.
Okay.
I try to warn people, because
that's what I always say, is if you see me cry, you should run.
Yeah, because I tell very few people have seen me get to that state, but if I'm if I'm ever not calm, then that's the time you should worry.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't even picture it though. To be honest.
Yeah, most definitely. That's why I've warned people all the time. Don't try me.
Yeah.
I identify as a threat. My pronouns are try and me.
Oh my gosh, so ridiculous.
So I just keep it like that. But well, Jess, it's been such a solid show. I thought we were gonna go over time, but it felt like a good stopping point, and to create good content and everything. So before we go, though, is there anything else you want to tell the people?
No, just keep just being who you need to be, and smoke as many cigars as you want, and just be kind. I think we need just people to be better. Just be better at being better human beings.
Absolutely.
That's it. I just go around in my own little bubble, like, and surround myself like around people that I know are, you know, going to treat me right, and I'm going to treat them right. And if you can keep doing that, then that's awesome. And if you're in a situation where people suck, go to a cigar lounge. You'll find better people.
Yep.
You know?
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. I work in a cigar shop, and always awesome people around to, you know, to hang out with. So, well, once again, I appreciate you for coming on. If this is your first time watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you like me on Facebook, Shirtless Mike, and, you know, trying to get the numbers up there because I don't make regular videos anymore. So, because of the, you know, the internet people trying to come after cigar content creators. So, you know, this is where you'll find me every Tuesday at 7:30, and I'll let you know when we're not live so we can talk that real shit.